Yo, what up, y'all? Welcome back to another video. So in this video, I've been thinking about something. I've been thinking about Zelda for the Switch 2. I know it's early. Nintendo hasn't shown us anything. We don't even have the console just yet, and I'm jumping out there. But I do believe I kind of have an estimation as to when we'll see this game. Follow along. So I believe that this game's been in development for quite a while because Tears of the Kingdom came out back in May of 2023. There was no DLC content released for that game after its initial release. Nintendo pretty much said they were done with it. They had completed the story and everything they wanted to achieve. They achieved it within that world. So that concluded the Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom story. And I believe from that point on, they started their development, which I think they even said they were moving on to the next Zelda entry. So with that being said, quite naturally, that would be the Switch 2 Zelda because of course, we're not getting another Zelda game on the Switch. I mean, I guess if you count the Echoes of Wisdom, that technically falls in line as a Zelda game, but I mean a mainline entry in particular. So we're gonna scratch that. That doesn't count. At least it doesn't count in my eyesight in terms of a main entry. I believe they started working on it, and I believe they're deep in development at this point in time. And since that was 2023, here it is 2025. There's 2 years. They were basically 2 years into the development cycle of it. Zelda games typically have a long development cycle, typically 4 to 5 years. I would think that that would put this in line to release around the time frame as the movie. I think that's no coincidence that the Zelda movie was announced, a live adaptation that comes out in 2027, and you better believe Nintendo's going to capitalize on that with some big promotional material. I think it'll be huge for Zelda that year. There'll be a movie as well as a new video game, and there'll be a lot of hype surrounding that. I could be wrong, but I believe I'm right about this. I think when they announced that, I was like, whoa, does that mean that's probably when we'll get the next Zelda game? And 9 times out of 10, that has to be how they want this. They want those two things to coincide with one another. And I think that's kind of their new approach to certain things. 3D Mario probably also, we'll probably get that alongside or around the time frame as the next Mario Bros movie. It's just a hunch on my part. I could be wrong, but I'm thinking I'm right. Now, in terms of gameplay for the next Zelda and graphics, I think they're completely done with the Breath of the Wild, Skyward Sword kind of aesthetic. That was cool, you know, for what they were trying to achieve with that huge open world. But now I think that they're done with that. They'll go with a different approach, and this time they'll have a hardware where they won't have such a limitation. Of course, there will still be limitations because all hardware has its limits, but the Switch 2 will allow them to do things that they weren't able to do with previous console generations. I think they'll be able to push things quite far. I believe they'll go back to a more photorealistic art style, maybe something similar to like Twilight Princess, or maybe not, I don't know, but I do believe it'll be more photorealistic. They'll push something that can truly display just what the Switch 2 is capable of. Maybe 4K visuals, 4K 30. Zelda doesn't need to be 60, but we might be spoiled by those enhanced editions of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom with the 60 frames per second. So I don't know. It just depends at that point on what Nintendo wants to go for. Do they want to push the visual quality, or do they want to focus on that performance and give us that buttery smooth 60 frames per second experience? Either or I'm fine with when it comes to Zelda. I don't really have a preference. I just want a really good Zelda game. I think in terms of gameplay mechanics, I honestly think they're gonna go back to a traditional dungeon temple type of formula. I think at this point, a lot of us kind of miss it. You know, a lot of people love the open air nature of Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, but I think at this point, a lot of people really want a more traditional old school Zelda experience. And I think Nintendo at this point in time will probably lean more towards that, especially if the movie is kind of resemblant to that type of gameplay style. So we'll just have to wait and see on how they go about this, but I am stoked, and I do think 2027 is when we'll get that game. I think we'll probably get some type of teaser or something maybe next year at some point in time, but I think 2027 will be the year for the next Zelda entry. Or maybe I'm just tripping. It could be wishful thinking. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. I would tell you to like and do all that stuff, but you already know that. So I'm gonna just leave you on that note. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.